Welcome back, everybody. We're here. It's another Film Struck Film Club pick with me, Carson Higgins. We're doing this every week, folks. If you're not already, you got to follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. I mean, you could do one or the other if you want. Either way, that's where you're going to find out what our next week's pick is always going to be. Throughout the week, I'll usually post a couple of things about the film, and then I'll finish the week by posting one of these. So go ahead and like and comment and subscribe here if you haven't done that already, but let's get down to it. This week we watched Black Girl. It's a 1966 film from the father of African cinema, Ousmane Sembéne. Now, this is a guy that we should probably know more, and a lot of you, maybe you do know him. Maybe you've seen this film before, or maybe you've seen some of his other films. But he is kind of credited with being the first filmmaker in Africa to get a film out there. I will say that this film is very short. It's just 59 minutes in length. It is a feature film. It's just a very short one. And I will say on the Criterion Channel, every week, shout out to the Criterion Channel, but over there they have Sembène's short film, Borom Sarret, which is The Wagoner, and that's a 20-minute short film that, in my humblest of opinion, was such a great thing to watch before watching Black Girl. It was his first short film that he made, and it won first prize at I wrote it down, the Tori Film Festival in 1963. He won first prize. And let me tell you a little bit about Sembène. He's a cool guy. I didn't know a whole lot about him. I watched, like I said, this short film and then our pick this week. And I didn't know a whole lot about him. We did watch a film, I want to say a year ago, maybe a little more at this point, called Tuki Buki, which is another Senegalese filmmaker. Mambete, man, I think that's right. But it's tough, man. We just don't spend enough time talking about African countries and African art. So a lot of these names I might mess up a little bit. But I'm trying. Anyway. Tuki Buki, I remember watching it on the Criterion Channel with an introduction by Martin Scorsese because it's one of the World Cinema Project picks over there. And in that, I remember him mentioning Sembène and how he is the father of African cinema. But he is a cool guy. I did a little bit of research on this guy. Check this out. He was a novelist. He is a famous novelist. He has novels that are world-renowned pieces of literature. But he found that at the time, in the 60s, when he was releasing his books, that the culture in Africa didn't really have a lot of room for reading. It was kind of an isolating activity that you do by yourself in silence. And so just culturally, it wasn't a thing that everybody was doing. And he wanted to reach more people. And so he figured that cinema would be the way to go. If you don't know, Senegal was a French colony. And so for a long, long time, all the way up until Sembène made his first film in 1963, the French government pretty much had lock and key of film production in Africa. You needed to get government approval, and there were things involved that basically they systematically kept African people from making films, ever. So when our guy Sembène wanted to go to film school in France, he was denied. But luckily for us and for him, the Soviet Union took him in, and he went to film school in Russia. This is all interesting to me because he basically has a ton of French influence. He goes to learn filmmaking from Russian filmmakers, and then he goes on to make like an Italian neo-realist masterpiece. So his influence is all over the place, which I love. But it is so cool. I mean, the second I started watching Borom Sarret, the short film, it immediately felt like Bicycle Thieves, or even God, I might say this wrong too. Satyajit Ray from India, his films, the Apu trilogy, Pather Panchali. I felt very kindred spirits, Pather Panchali, Bicycle Thieves, and Borom Sarret. So then by the time I put on Black Girl, I felt a little bit more in tune with his style and kind of what he was doing. In both films, our main character speaks very little. but has a rather lively internal monologue. So there's a lot of voiceover in both productions, which was very interesting. There was also mind you, this film is much older, but I felt kindred spirit of Roma, Alfonso Cuarón's film from just a couple years ago. In that film, we follow a indigenous Mexican maid living with a richer family, and we get to see kind of through her viewpoint what life looks like. And so in a very similar way, we follow this Senegalese woman. Her name is Joanna, but it's spelled with a D. Very cool name, honestly. But we follow her from Senegal to France, where she serves as a housemaid to this young French couple. What is really cool about the format and kind of how we tell the story is we start right away with her getting off the plane or the boat, whatever, in France, and we kind of bop back to Dakar in Senegal, where we see her kind of living her life, looking for a job, finding out about this, you can get hired as a maid if you wait over here. And of course, she gets picked, and she gets chosen to look after the children. The family is going back to France, and it's like, why don't you come to France and watch the children? And she's like, this is a great gig. I'm going to go live in France. I'm going to have a new life and, be working. And long story short, she's basically just a slave in France. She has a quote in the film where she says something like, France to me was the bedroom, the bathroom, the kitchen. Like I never got to go out, and it's amazing because the first time you see her, she's this strikingly beautiful woman waiting to be picked up by her employer. And as she is working around the apartment, around the house, she's in like the nicest outfits with jewelry and earrings, and her hair is done, and she's in heels. She's like trying to be a person, and her mistress, or the first Karen I can think of on film, is constantly, you're not going out on a date like you're a maid. Will you please change your clothes? And she almost never speaks a word to this woman, but we do hear her very, like I said, very lively voiceover narration. There's some cool things that I was picking up on, and hopefully if you watch this film already, I am going to spoil some things in a little bit, so if you haven't watched it yet, go check out the short film Borom Sarret, and then go watch Black Girl, and then go ahead and finish this video. But the mask is such a wonderful symbol throughout the film. I don't want to act like I know everything that I'm talking about. I just know that I noticed this, and it's worth noting that there is this traditional African mask that is once she is hired, and we're in Dakar before she ever goes to France, she gives this mask to her new employers, and they have like little trinkets and things, little African artistry around their Dakar home. And then when we're in France, the only African thing in their whole place is this mask on the wall, and we wind up seeing it quite a bit, and all the way through to the end when Joanna has totally just basically said fuck you to these people. She packs her bag and she takes the mask off the wall, and there's this really beautifully symbolic kind of tug of war with her and her mistress over this mask. And because towards the end of the film, she is done with these people. She's ready to bounce. She's got her stuff packed with the mask on top, and I am going to spoil the ending, so watch out. But we see just these things in her room, and she's in the bathroom, and she turns on the bath, and moments later we find that she has killed herself in the bath. Mind you, her employer has offered her money and all this stuff, and she's broken down on the floor crying, and she's not happy about the situation here. So she kills herself in that bathtub, and we leave the mask and the suitcase behind. And I just found this mask was very interesting to me because it does wind up getting returned to her village. The husband, her employer, goes back to Dakar, tries to give the mask, I guess, and some money to the mother, and he's completely shunned by this community because they know that him and his wife are responsible for destroying this girl. And I gotta say, man, the actress who plays Joanna is spectacular. She does so much with so little, and I say that in the sense that it's a very subtle performance, physically. What we're seeing is a lot of her, not talking, not really working. Sometimes she's working, but for the most part, we're just kind of watching her be, and then we hear all this inner dialogue, so we know how much is going on in that head of hers, even though she may be coming across to this couple as lazy and whatever, all the various things they accuse her of being. But yeah, M'bissine Thérèse Diop. I'm not 100% sure I'm saying that right, but she really does such a great job in this film. That ending when she kills herself, it is shocking. I will say the other two people I watched it with, we all were kind of like, why did she kill herself? I mean, she could have just taken the money and gone home, and that would have been that. But this is where the beauty of cinema comes. I was reminded after we watched the film and we were kind of talking about it a little bit. I was reminded of, I've seen in interviews and things with Spike Lee in regards to the end of Do the Right Thing, whether or not Mookie did the right thing by throwing the trash can into the window. And Spike has said that no black person has ever asked me if Mookie did the right thing, throwing that trash can through the window. I'm always only asked that question by people like you. And so then I kind of found myself being like, there's just simply something that I cannot fully understand. And it is exactly why the choice to just end herself entirely was perhaps the most powerful choice. And I don't, I feel like if you have an idea, if you have strong feelings about it, why don't you shoot some comments my way? I don't want to just kind of say, I guess that's why we're here. But, this can be a dialogue. So if you do have some thoughts about perhaps why she made that decision instead of going home with her earnings and just saying, you know what, France wasn't for me, it didn't work out. But no, there is kind of a much stronger point being made in her kind of not playing by the oppressor's rules, I guess, is one way you could look at it, or sending a very strong message to future girls who may think that this job is opportune for them, and a very strong statement of it is not. You should not take this job. But it's a very complex issue. I mean, I definitely don't know anything about French colonialism and how it has affected particularly Western African countries where they were French colonies for so long. So this kind of back and forth of French people to Senegal and Senegalese people back and forth to France. There's a dynamic there that, as an American who's just uneducated on the topic, I just don't know. But it was nice to kind of be introduced to it a little bit in this film, because though it is the 60s, it's a period film to us a little bit now. At this point, it's stylistically dated, but it is really a view into kind of what slavery would look like in the modern day, where you have this subordinate, subhuman person living in your home, and how this person is a fully realized human being who demands respect. And so I don't want to. I feel like if you have any comments, please shoot them my way. But I loved this film. I can't stop just like praising Sembène, who is absolutely a mammoth figure in cinema. I cannot wait to watch his other films. Some of them are hard to say, so I'm not gonna say them right now. I'll have to watch them and find out how to properly pronounce these things. But look him up, man. Look up Ousmane Sembéne. He's a good dude. But yeah, we'll have another pick coming for you guys. So much love. Hope you got a chance to watch the movie. It is on Criterion. It's on HBO Max. Give it up for HBO Max. They got a really killer selection of stuff over there. And it is available for rent everywhere. So if you haven't, go ahead and check this movie out. It's worth your time. But yeah, new pick coming tomorrow. Say goodbye, Groot. Bye.